Golden light from the crystal chandelier danced throughout the magnificent ballroom, creating gleaming reflections upon champagne flutes and satin evening wear. The night had unfolded flawlessly. Gentle melodies from a string ensemble filled the background while attendees murmured appreciatively about the opulence and magnificence that enveloped them, with billionaire Alexander Varon sitting regally at the table's main position. His business empire spanned multiple countries, his power without equal. Yet this evening, he wasn't the focal point of everyone's gaze. Isabella, his spouse, a lady of elegance and inner fortitude, had made her entrance wearing a rich navy gown that captured everyone's attention. Many marveled at her sophistication, some felt jealous of her composure, while in a distant corner, a woman dressed in ivory burned with quiet fury. Suddenly, an unexpected noise destroyed the evening's refinement, the harsh sound of palm meeting skin. Sharp intakes of breath echoed throughout the space. Mobile devices were raised skyward as stunned visitors scrambled for their cameras. Standing there was a fair-haired lady in ivory, quaking with anger and defiance, her palm still raised after having slapped Isabella's cheek. Silence descended, interrupted only by hushed conversations, while Isabella shut her eyes to regain her balance, as Alexander stood up from his seat with an expression capable of commanding silence from entire nations. At that instant, the woman who had dared strike the wealthy man's spouse understood something she hadn't previously considered. True authority didn't lie in the wealth she believed she possessed or the attention she desired. Authority resided in honor, esteem, and the unchanging reality that deeds once completed cannot be reversed. Within moments, the smugness on her expression melted into terror as she comprehended her actions. Before we delve further into this remarkable tale, pause for a moment if you value compassion, redemption, and the strength found in respect. Please give this video a thumbs up, forward it to your companions, and follow Kindness Corner. Your encouragement enables us to create additional stories that touch souls across the globe. Now, let's continue with this transformative moment. The woman was called Vanessa Hale, a member of high society who had established her standing through cutting remarks and an even sharper disposition. She had always assumed wealth entitled her to speak more loudly, behave more harshly, and expect greater treatment. Wealth wasn't her birthright, but she fought her way into the sparkling realm of the privileged through image management, strategic connections, and deliberate meanness. Beneath her flawless grin lay a resentment born from years of feeling like an outsider. When Isabella Varon walked into the room that evening, every doubt Vanessa had ever suppressed came rushing back. In Vanessa's eyes, Isabella embodied everything she lacked. Graceful by nature, cherished without manipulation, influential without needing to brag. While Isabella maintained her calm demeanor, her face burning from the strike, Vanessa suddenly felt her authority evaporate. The room had stopped admiring her. They gazed in shock. The wealthy man's wife hadn't shouted back, hadn't struck in retaliation, hadn't even sworn. That quiet response carried more weight than any reaction Vanessa had anticipated. Then came the gradual, firm understanding. What she had shattered wasn't Isabella's honor, but rather her own. Attendees moved away from her as if she carried disease. Camera lights flickered. The enormity of her error hit her like an enormous wave. But what was Isabella's true identity? Her background remained largely unknown. She also wasn't born into privilege. Her childhood was spent in a modest community, raised by a mother working alone who labored through extra shifts simply to provide meals. Isabella had discovered empathy through hardship, modesty through want, and resilience when facing adversity. Later, upon meeting Alexander, his fortune meant nothing to her. She valued his character, his ambition, and his dream of using prosperity to help others rise. For Isabella, affection wasn't about position. It concerned the spirit. This explained people's admiration for her. This was why Vanessa could never match her. The night deteriorated rapidly. Guards moved closer, but Alexander raised his palm, his tone low and controlled, instructing them to pause. Everyone focused on Isabella, who eventually opened her eyes and faced the shaking woman standing before her. That's when Vanessa's arrogance crumbled. She staggered backward, trembling, then dropped to the ground. Before the billionaire's spouse, she wept, not from empathy, but from terror of irreversible outcomes. She implored. She entreated. She whispered regrets as her eye makeup ran down her cheeks. Yet Isabella showed no satisfaction. She didn't smirk triumphantly. She remained silent. Instead, she offered her hand, not in hostility, but with gentle dignity, assisting Vanessa to stand again. That gesture amazed the entire gathering. Which among them could have demonstrated such mercy after such disgrace? Who among them, after being publicly struck, could have responded with sympathy rather than revenge? Isabella's power came not from her riches but from her compassion. At that moment, the message became evident, not only to Vanessa, but to all observers. Genuine strength lies not in brutality, but in benevolence. Vanessa's journey didn't conclude that evening. That night marked her life's transformation. Though publicly humiliated and rejected by the upper class, she could have retreated into resentment. However, Isabella's mercy continued to affect her. It compelled her to examine her own doubts, to recall her modest origins, to acknowledge the isolation beneath her harshness. She spent many months in silent contemplation, removed from bright lights and superficial relationships. Gradually, she began rebuilding, not her standing, but her character. She began modestly, offering time at homeless facilities, helping women who felt invisible, contributing to those who resembled the person she had been before pride overtook her. The path wasn't simple. Gossip pursued her everywhere. Some never pardoned her actions, but she stopped seeking their acceptance. She pursued the person she might become. The individual Isabella had shown her was possible. Years afterward, Vanessa found herself on another platform, though this time it wasn't within a glamorous ballroom. It was inside a neighborhood center filled with women and children whose lives she had influenced. Her voice trembled as she recounted her errors, her collapse, and that single moment that transformed everything. While sharing her experience, she spoke the words that remained with her always: "Sometimes the blow we inflict on others represents the plea for assistance we've been too frightened to acknowledge. And occasionally, if fortune smiles upon us, someone will respond to that cruelty with compassion that redeems us." The audience that evening didn't condemn her. They stood and clapped, not because she was flawless, but because she was genuine, because she had decided to change, because she had discovered what true authority actually meant. Dear viewers, if this narrative moved you, if it highlighted the strength of compassion, pardon, and fresh opportunities, please give this video your approval, forward it to your circle, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support enables us to share additional stories that comfort, motivate, and remind us of the goodness humanity can still achieve. Before we conclude, we have a particular favor to ask. Leave a message below. Share with us, have you witnessed someone meet cruelty with compassion? How did it alter your perspective on existence? We would appreciate hearing your experience. And keep in mind, sometimes the greatest power doesn't lie in the hand that delivers the blow, but in the spirit that offers forgiveness.